Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, we're going to be taking a closer look at firmware 1.53 for the Uniden R1 and R3. Now, I'm getting a little bit stir crazy sitting at home for all this self-quarantine, self-isolation thing, so I figured for this video, we'll just hop in the car because I kind of miss being behind the wheel, so we'll talk about the firmware update from here. Now, firmware 1.53 for the R1 and the R3, it's a relatively minor update. Let's start with maybe the changes to MRCD stuff, then we'll talk about the speed camera improvements, and then the interface changes that they made for the detector. So starting off with MRCD, Uniden says there's 3 different changes that they've made. The first thing is improved performance and false alert filtering for MRCD, but the initial test results are not really showing that. We'll talk about that in just a second. The second change has to do with alert priority. Now MRCD alerts are always going to take priority over other radar alerts, X, K, and KA, even if you have the detector set to KA priority. And then the third thing is that MRCD alerts will no longer be muted below quiet ride, and this is specifically designed because a lot of photo radar trucks, like maybe up in Edmonton, they're around town, and you're not going to want them to be muted even if you're traveling at lower speeds. Now, coming back to the changes in terms of detection range, Haywood just had a chance to do some testing with the R3 with 1.53, along with a bunch of other detectors, and most of the detectors are alerting 2, 3, 4, 500 feet away. Some of the detectors able to alert over 1,000 feet away. With the R3, out of 3 of the runs, one of the runs was 80-something feet after passing the MRCD truck, meaning you're already now in the kill zone.
No alert. There it is.
MRCD.
The other 2 runs, no alert whatsoever. So what we're seeing here with the R3 is it's not really that great here with 1.53. Now, I don't know if it's just because of this firmware. I don't know if it's something because of the fact that the R3 just physically cannot scan lower than 24.050. And the MRCD does actually change its frequency range, so it's possible that some of those runs just may have been on the frequency range when the R3 simply couldn't detect it. The one run where it was able to detect it was at 24.094, I believe. But again, it's going to be sweeping back and forth. But that's what he saw for the one alert that he got. So detection range is not looking good here with 1.53. Now, on a positive note, it does look like the R3 is no longer misreporting MRCD as just traditional K-band, which is nice, but it's also no longer giving us sufficient alert range, if it even does go off in the first place, to help us slow down in time and avoid the ticket. You may want to actually stick with an older firmware version if you encounter a lot of MRCD, just based on initial test results that we've been seeing so far. Now, the next change that we're going to be talking about is alerts to speed cameras built into the GPS database. And because it's a GPS feature, this next change is only going to apply to R3 users. It won't apply to R1 users. Now, if you're coming across a speed camera and the R3 can alert you due to its GPS database, if you're also going to be detecting radar at the same time, the R3 will now actually switch back and forth between the overspeed alerts for the speed camera as well as the radar alerts. That way, the overspeed alert doesn't completely override the radar alert that you're picking up. The second change is the overspeed alert now only lasts for 1.5 seconds. It doesn't last a lot longer like it used to. Now, as far as the third set of changes that Uniden made, it has to do with making the detector a little bit more responsive. The first thing has to do with manually adjusting the display screen brightness like this. Now, before, you used to actually have to press and hold this button for a second in order to get into the display brightness adjustments. Now you only have to press it for 0.5 seconds, again, just to make it a little bit more responsive and faster when you're using it. Additionally, if you want to change sensitivity modes, you can press and hold the menu button like this, and it'll allow you to adjust the different sensitivity levels. According to Uniden, it used to be 3 seconds. Now it's 2. It seems even faster than that, actually. I think it's just over 1 second as far as how long you have to press the button. Either way, the detector is now going to be more responsive and quicker, kind of getting into the menus and different options here. But other than that, that's it. There's no other changes to performance or K-band filtering or other features or anything like that. This is a pretty minor update. So if you want to update, I'll have a link in the video description to where you can go update. Now, with Uniden updates, a lot of times people tend to have some issues, and so I've got a tutorial available that you can check out, link in the video description for that as well, that will help walk you through how to do the update process. Now, a couple kind of quirks specific to updating to 1.53. The first thing is if you go to Uniden's website and you search for the firmware updates for the R3, the latest update that you're going to see is 1.50. don't use the search option. Instead, head on over to Uniden support page. Again, link in the video description to take you right there. You'll see a gray button that says firmware, and when you click on that, 1.53 will now pop up right on top of the page once you click the firmware button. You'll see links to download the update for Windows. If you're a Mac user, you'll see that there is no update available currently for Mac users. So what you're going to want to do is download the update for Windows, and then scroll down and find the update for 1.48. Then what you're going to wind up doing is you're going to download the Mac update software, and instead of using the older firmware that it comes packaged with, you're going to grab 1.53 that comes packaged with the Windows update software, but use the Mac update software to load that in, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit weird. I wish they would just include the Mac update software right there with 1.53, but you kind of have to do that little workaround in order to get it loaded. So anyway, link in the video description to all that kind of stuff, as well as the tutorial and all that. So 1.53, relatively minor change. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it right now with the initial test results. Hopefully we can do more testing. Well, people who have the MRCD around. I know, again, we're in quarantine, so it's kind of hard to go out and do some of these tests right now, but that's what we're seeing right now as far as MRCD, the speed camera improvements, and the interface responsiveness improvements. So anyway, there we go. There's a look at 1.53. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys are doing well as well, hanging out at home. My stereo just turned on for some reason. Cool. All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye.